Big East Media Day in Madison Square Garden was on Tuesday, and the annual preseason predictions were released. Big East Twitter was, of course, ablaze, and we at Big East Beat wanted to get in on the debate. But of course, we had to put our own unique spin on it. We've decided to play a game show looking at the preseason predictions through the lens of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Are the Big East teams overhyped, underhyped, or just right? It's next on Big East Beat. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Big East Beat. I'm Matt Janus. We'll be joined momentarily, and there they are, our co-host Bryan Webster and David White with us again by popular demand. He is back. His critically acclaimed role as judge made him get another new role. He'll be the game show host for us this week. Boys, good to see you.
It's great to be back. I'm glad that David's back because obviously the most comments we ever got was the appearance that he made on the show. So, and I've been doing 30 episodes of Pirate Vibes, and we got more comments based off of David being in a judge robe than anything else. So I'm excited.
Hey, when the people come after you, that just means you're doing a great job. I'm back. I'm ready to go. Let's go. I might put on a Southern. I do declare next time I have to judge something.
Oh, my goodness. You can take the guy out of North Carolina. You cannot take the North Carolina out of the guy. But, guys, please, we want to make sure we ask the audience to like the video. It really helps us get in front of more Big East fans. It's an exciting time of the year. Basketball season's just about ready to start. Obviously, we are going to have some fun on this show. We like to take unique angles and then chop it up, debate what's happening in Big East basketball. And the more people we get in front of, the more of these that we can do. We've had some great interaction with the fans so far and really positive feedback. Want to keep it going. Please like the video. And if you haven't yet, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the Big East Energy Network. We've got almost all of the teams covered. We're going to be here with multiple shows per week about each team. We have multiple league-wide shows, and we talk women's basketball as well. We've got this thing covered from A to Z, so hope that you'll come along for the ride. Please subscribe to the Big East Energy Network. Without further ado, let's start our business of the day as we talk Big East Goldilocks. That'll have to wait. We'll go through the rules of the show in just a moment, but first I have to get a little something off of my chest. I loved the tweet from Richard Pitino after Big East Media Day. If you missed the news, Rick Pitino was especially ornery over the course of his media availability. He was talking about how he might not be in this too much longer, which you wouldn't think on the surface would be a weird thing to hear from a guy in his 70s, but he had just talked about how reinvigorated he was and he was going to be on the scene for years to come. And now suddenly he does a 180 and he does it right before the start of the season. The quote that got everybody's attention: I think my time is coming to an end. Well, the son has been interpreting his father's words for his entire life, and he had a great one-liner. I get it. Big East Media Day makes me want to retire too. He will snap out of it once he's done for the day. I just thought that was funny. Richard Pitino doing his best Lane Kiffin impersonation on social media. He's been bringing the fire lately on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it.
Is it Lane Kiffin or is it Rick Pitino, like modern day Rick Pitino? That's really what, like, when I read it, I was like, man, if Rick Pitino in the 90s had Twitter, this is exactly how he would act. So, like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So it's just great to see. Dave, what do you think? What does the judge think on this, Your Honor?
Man, I think Richard Pitino's venturing into that Lane Kiffin lane.
I think Rick Pitino is getting old, getting grumpy, but the true serum that we've talked about, it seems to be peppering into his veins, and he just can't help himself. And so maybe he said more than he wanted to, and Richard cleaned it up for him. That's a good son when your dad gets a little bit older. Good job by Richard Pitino. I have one more topic I want to get that's off kill if we're here.
Oh, boy.
Have me.
Oh, boy.
The NBA season got started, guys, right? That was such a big deal, and the NBA on NBC is back. And it's an iconic theme, and I think we're all excited about it. Round Ball Rock, the John Tesh creation. But am I the only one that's a little bit sad? It can't be in Big East universe that song is back in its rightful home and now will no longer be played during Big East games on Fox. I just started getting used to that. I was loving it a little bit after I thought it was blasphemy initially.
I just remember the Jordan finals in the 90s, and it was playing every single time with Bob Costas. And like, as much as I love Big East basketball, and I love that it was the holder of that song for a little bit, it's in its rightful home. But now my issue is Shaq and Kenny and all those guys on ESPN, but that's a different show. Probably a different channel that we should discuss that on.
And that right there in a nutshell is the difference between you, the voice of the people, and what most people are articulating, and me, the voice of absolutely no one but my scary brain. Because, yeah, I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, man, we won't have Round Ball Rock on Big East broadcasts anymore. And that's brutal. I just started getting used to looking forward to that. All right, here's our game. Here's how we're going to play this. David White is going to serve as our Alex Trebek. And we are going to look at the preseason predictions have been unleashed, and the coaches were supposed to vote on it, but we found out at Media Day, many of them quite openly flaunting that they did not do the voting. Don't know who else is on any of these teams around the league, and it's up to you to figure out who actually did vote. Most of the time, I'll give you the spoiler, it's the SID of the respective programs.
And Luke Murray. Dan Hurley made it clear that Luke was given that responsibility this year.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take those predictions, and then Brian and I will have to give our opinion. Are they overhyped, underhyped, or just right? Did they get the prediction right? Is the team overrated, or is the team underrated? We'll have a little debate about it if we disagree. And David White might give his opinion every once in a while as well, as he is that type of arbiter. Let's begin with Villanova. It's our podcast, David, so we might as well do it. 7th, the prediction in the Big East, right, Alex Trebek?
Yep, so Nova finished 7th here. Are they overhyped, underhyped, just right? What are we doing here?
First of all, obviously, you got to listen to Holy Nova every single week, right? These two guys. It's not because they're here, and I'm not trying to buy the judge right now like I was last week. It's one of the best listens, and probably the main reason why I'm kind of thinking they're underrated here on the seventh pick by the coaches poll or SID poll or the bum on the street poll, whoever makes the vote, the vote that came out on Media Day. This team's great, and Caden Lewis, and you guys know my feelings on Kevin Willard. We've gone through that on your show, this show, every show. I love Kevin Willard. Caden Lewis you guys are hyping him up like he's the next big thing, and the more and more I look into it, like I love that move. Hodge and Brennan up front. If you guys can stay healthy, I think you guys will be fine. But I'm gonna let Matt take the floor because I know he loves this team. So,
well, let me just say this right now. First of all, I'm not winning this contest because I already took David's job. I just can't take myself out of the host chair. I literally could not see the floor to the game show host. So my apologies, Mr. Trebek. I'll make sure to keep quiet here the rest of the way. But yes, I do think that Villanova is underrated right now at 7th. I have them personally in the 5 slot. You could easily talk me into picking them 4th. I assume they would be 5th or 6th. It never occurred to me that they would be picked 7th. And not only pick 7th, but to not have a single person selected on the conference teams. I thought they would give a token player somewhere along the line, but didn't come to fruition. I think that this team will use that as a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. It is kind of a blue-collar type team that Kevin Willard has put together in his first year. They have talent in Caden Lewis, Devin Askew, who is another blue-chip guy that's in his 6th year of college basketball, yet again dealing with some injuries, but they got some good news, expecting him back as early February. That will help kind of take some of the pressure off of Caden Lewis as he makes that adjustment to college basketball. But it didn't seem like a big adjustment in the exhibition game last week against VCU. He was magnificent in the first half. I was at Finner and Pavilion sitting there in press row, a bunch of crusty media guys all kind of looking at each other like, is this kid for real? Is this what he looks like in the first half of his first ever game? Didn't look like a freshman to me. Poised. We knew all the physical gifts that he had. I didn't think he would look as polished as he did right away. It's one exhibition game. We'll see if he can sustain it. You mentioned Duke Brennan. He's prone to some foul trouble. He's making a jump up from Grand Canyon. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he has shown the ability to play in big games. I mean, that's a program that's played in a lot of them over the years. So I like his physicality. I think he's a guy that can give you 10 and 8, somewhere in that neighborhood. Villanova would be just fine with that. The big X factor for the Wildcats, the three-point shooting. If they can make three-point shots, they have a chance to finish 4th in the Big East, quite frankly. I think they have that kind of talent, but it's an if, and there's no doubt about it. If they're a bad three-point shooting team, this prediction will probably play out pretty accurately. I think at worst, they're somewhere in the middle. That's where that 5-6 prediction that I thought they would be slotted in comes to be the worst-case scenario for me in reality. And I really think by the end of the year, as this team gels, they're going to be playing well enough to be a top 14.
All right, David.
I mean, I agree. I think we're talking about a little underhyped here. I think that Kevin Willard didn't get the respect that he deserves, quite frankly. I think that the pieces are there for Nova to be, I would probably have said 5th.
Wait a minute. We got 2 Nova guys here holding the podcast, hosting podcasts weekly, twice a week. Check them out. It's a great show. And I'm the one that picked them the highest.
That tells you it's realist. We're realists.
Maybe me watching your show on loop is brainwashing me. That's the issue.
Hey, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. And Trebek, I appreciate you siding with me.
Of course. And I mean, speaking of great podcasts here on the Big East Energy Network, we got the Pirate Vibes podcast. Give that a listen. But Seton Hall, your boys finished last, 11th. Overhyped, underhyped. I don't think we can say overhyped or just right.
Well, let me go first, Brian, because I'll let you wax poetic about your boys here momentarily. I hate to do this to you because I watch your show, love it, enjoy it, and certainly am entertained by it. I just I can't get on board with all the optimism that you guys are espousing. I get your point. I'll let you make it momentarily. I just have too many question marks with the Seton Hall team. I think that Shaheem Holloway, look, if you can get to the Elite Eight with St. Peter's, you obviously can coach. I just was very disappointed with the way last season played out. I thought that, I don't want to say he quit on the team, but I thought he became disenchanted with his team way too early. And consequently, it snowballed to even a worse spot than maybe it needed to be. And I think that's a bad place to be when you're trying to build a program. I know that he brought in a ton of new pieces and kind of just had to flip the entire thing. But that's also not the ideal spot to be. It's a modern college basketball world where you're going to see that more and more, but you don't want to do a complete flip. It kind of felt like a guy that built a house that wasn't great and tried to then immediately redo it and put it on the market, and then you're trying to slap a $200,000 upgrade on the price, and I'm not buying it. I'll offer you $225 for the house that cost you $250 to build. I think that they're going to come in 11th, but I do think that they will be a competitive 11th. I don't think they're going to be the type of team that can't be in games and probably will be in a lot of them. I just don't know if they have the pieces to win enough of them.
So the last 3 years on the media poll, the team that was picked to finish 11th didn't finish 11th. So even if they finish 10th, they're underhyped, right?
To win, right?
So I have them 8th, and I know I'm a Pirate, and I bleed blue, stay true, stay blue, vibe on. I know that's my cliche ending, right? But I really buy into everything here with what Shaw's doing. Yes, Shaw did seem like he quit or was disinterested in February last year, except the UConn game, but we still circle that on our calendar. But
that was worse, though, that he checked back in, by the way. That actually might have bothered me most. Like, if you're out, you're out. You can't then just pick and choose your spots.
But so his closing press conference after the last game, he said that he was humbled this year, that it was a learning experience here. And I really do buy into that. If you watch Media Day, and I know, Matt, you were there, but the Peacock version of Media Day is what I watched. Even Hurley mentioned a little bit about Seton Hall, about how Shaw's really buying into it, and the team. It just seems like they're going in the right direction. I think when you talk about the roster turnover, then why isn't Xavier here, right? Why aren't you putting Xavier at the bottom, right? I just don't understand where everyone's argument was like the complete roster turnover, and that puts them at 11th. Because you can't compare it to last year, because last year all those guys are gone. So I just don't understand why everyone's sleeping on Seton Hall. Now, Bud Clark is a tremendous talent. Your boy, Caden Lewis, is great. But I'm telling you right now, Bud Clark is going to be tremendous this year in the Big East. Like, he reminds me of a guy, I don't know, he's on my screen, Shaheen Holloway. A little undersized. He's going to go to the hoop. He's going to play tough defense. He averaged 2 steals. Yes, I know that's in the MAC, but even if he gets 1.5 steals, I'll still take it as your leading point guard. You got Simpkins, you got AJ Stanton McRae, who shot 40%, and then you got Najee Hines. We're forgetting it. Everyone is sleeping on Najee Hines, top 50 recruit on little old Seton Hall. You guys love talking about Caden Lewis, who's the top 50 recruit, and how great he's going to be. How come we can't love on Najee Hines, who's the top 50 recruit? But I can go on and on. Watch my show twice a week, and you'll love the Pirates as much as I do.
Hold on, I got to get one recourse in there. Your MAC expert came on and sung the praises of Bud Clark. Yep. But what else did he say?
Well, he said the roster wasn't built, but if you go through his historical, he hates Seton Hall. Like, he's a Syracuse guy. He's
undercutting his own expert.
No. Well, I will on my own expert, but Sam Fetterman hates Seton Hall historically. If you compare his rankings since he was starting these rankings, he always underrates Seton Hall, and that includes the NIT year when they should have been in the tournament. I think shocking coach. I think he went out and got his guys that bought into the system. I think a lot of them. I can't think of his name right now, but Georgetown's women's coach. He says outside dog. Outside dogs and the toughness and all that. And I think that's what Shaw did. Like a guy like Jacob Dar, who I love. He was a D2 player, goes up to Rice, produces at Rice, and now is coming up to Seton Hall. I just think all they got to do is finish in 10th, and they're underrated. That's all they got to do. They're like DePaul's there. Hello, we'll get into that later. But like, I'm just saying, all they got to do is finish one position above 11, and I win this bet. So
Trebek?
David, it's 10 out of 11. Like, I get 10 out of 11 standing places. I'm not saying they're the Big East champs. I'm not saying that here. I'm saying that there's a bottom tier. There's a bottom tier in this Big East 8 through 11 that I think you can make an argument for.
Well, first of all, Brian, are you impeaching your own witness? You called him to the stand as an expert, and now you're telling me that he's not an expert.
He's a MAC expert. He writes for mid-majors and mid-majors. That's all he talks about is mid-majors. He can talk about mid-majors. He can't talk about the majors. I love you, Sam Fetterman, but I'm sorry.
But I'm going to go with you. I think that they're a little underrated. I don't trust Richard Pitino at Xavier. And I think that Shaheen Holloway has proven that he's a good coach. I think that the roster – he's rebuilt it. I think that 11th is lower than they'll finish, which I'll give you the 1 or 2 spots up. So underrated, I'll go with.
You know, this guy doesn't even know the difference between whether we're doing the legal thing or we're doing the game show thing. He still thinks he's the judge. Come on.
Hey, I'm always the judge. Well, let's move on. We'll go to a Seton Hall alumnus, so Danny Hurley and the UConn Huskies picked second. I know Dan Hurley said that he didn't care about preseason polls, but are they underrated, overrated, just right at second?
I'm going to start here. Dan Hurley talking about preseason polls makes me laugh because last year he was crying that they were ranked too low and they should have been number one. So Dan Hurley talks out of both sides of his mouth with his preseason polls. I love Dan Hurley, but it is what it is.
When he's got the world agreeing with Jeff Goodman, then you know that he's stepped in something. That's what happened right there.
This is the best team in the country. I'm going to say that right there. They're underrated. Pick second. They have everything you want. You want size. You got Rebe and Terrace Reed. You want wing players. You got Jalen Stewart. You want shooting. You got Solo Ball, who shot 40% last year. And then, he might not even be the best shooter on the team with Braylon Mullins in the gym. You got the point guards. And I know a couple episodes, Matt thought it was a term that was not of endearment with Danny Hurley, but he's a psycho. And the fact that he's got psycho focus right now, I think that's a compliment, and I think they have everything, and he's so focused. I think UConn runs away with this conference. I'm talking maybe one loss. This is a scary team.
I'm scared of the concept of watching them run away with it. I do think UConn is just right. I'm going to go Goldilocks on this one. I think they're a legit Final Four team. I really do. I think there's 2 legit Final Four teams in the Big East this year. We'll talk about the other in a moment. UConn's got future pros, and they've got Alex Karaban, who the world deservedly adores, right? But St. John's, to me, is a safer regular season bet because of their defense. You've got guys that have, a chance to be great. Silas has an opportunity to be a wonderful point guard. Braylon Mullins could be a lottery pick. Solo ball might make the leap from very good to great. These are all things that might happen and very well could happen. But to be the unquestioned top team in the Big East, I think they're going to need multiple of those things to happen. Really, your sure things right now are Karaban and Reed. They're kind of the givens. You know what you're going to get out of them. And, of course, Danny Hurley is a coaching freak. But there's just too many ifs there for me. I'm going to take St. John's defense, so I'm going to say UConn at 2 is just right.
Too many ifs. Like, you're bringing Solo Ball, who shot 40%. How is that an if? Like, he did it last year.
They
like,
need Solo
Braylon
Ball.
Mullins is considered like one of the best shooting prospects. Like, that's not an if. Like,
No,
he is.
it's an if because it's a
Here's Reed.
I know Braylon Mullins is going to be a good basketball player. I know he is, and I think
Demery was tremendous in the SEC, which is the greatest conference historically, right? They're considered like the greatest. I know, David, you're an ACC guy sometimes, so I'm not trying to criticize you. I live down in the South too. I understand that rivalry, but like he performed in the SEC last year. Like he's not coming from Elon, and no disrespect for my boy TJ Simpkins, but like he's not coming from Elon. He's coming from an SEC team, and he's coming to a team that like needed that point guard last year. Like they were a player like Silas Demery away from being in Florida. I'm telling you that.
And I like Silas Demery, and I think he's going to be a really good player at UConn. They need him to be better than a really good player if they're going to win this conference. To me, that's what I'm just saying. I think that you're assuming they will all be the best versions of themselves. To me, there's just too many assumptions with UConn. And again, I think they're a legit Final Four team. I just think St. John's is too. And as a result, I'm going to take the sure bet of St. John's defense. That's the thing I am most confident in with the Big East coming into the season.
Fair enough.
So I am less confident in St. John's roster makeup. I think UConn is the best team in the Big East. I'm not ready to jump so far as to say the best team in the country, but best team in the Big East. I don't think they run away with this conference. I think them and St. John's are going to battle. I'm not so confident in the roster makeup, and maybe that is my bias against Ian Jackson, who
all right, Your Honor. Let's wait for this St. John's portion of the conversation, Trebek, can we?
But we kind of gave away the lead there. Next, we'll go to, obviously, you got to go to St. John's after talking to UConn. Finish first.
Well, I guess
that's right.
I guess
hey, first of all, I included all these pods on here. We're forgetting to plug the pods, include but the Johnny's Report comes out once or twice a week. All the news about the St. John's, and obviously Mark with the Hoop Cap and our shows. But go ahead.
Sorry, I'm failing. I'm Alex Trebek. I'm not Johnny Gilbert.
He's too busy planning on how to rule against me. You got a couple of bad comments, and now I had no chance in this competition whatsoever. Look, defense. How are teams going to score on St. John's? It's the thing that every coach covets right now, length. And Rick Pitino watched his team come up short against length in the NCAA tournament last year against Arkansas. He realized that's the direction of the modern game, so he went out and he got more length. And then he also went out and he got shooters. David's going to tell you that Ian Jackson is wildly overrated. He's a North Carolina graduate. I get that. North Carolina stunk last year. It wasn't Ian Jackson's fault, and his shooting surrounded by the players that he'll have at St. John's is going to travel. Bryce Hopkins is a guy everybody wanted. I know that maybe not Bryan Webster, but Bryce Hopkins is a guy everybody wanted. Rick Pitino is doing his Rick Pitino stuff with Bryce Hopkins. One day everybody that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. The next day he tells people that he's good, but good isn't good enough. He's got to be great. He's pushing the buttons. It's going to work. It always does with Slick Rick. I have complete confidence in Pitino. I have complete confidence in this St. John's defense. You tell me when you need a stop what unit you'd rather have out there but St. John's. And I know it's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. Defense wins championships. St. John's will rely on its defense to win again.
So St. John's was terrific on defense last year, but I think they won that conference last year because UConn wasn't up to their standard on defense. If Dan Hurley gets back to that, I think Dan Hurley can close this gap.
Another if. UConn if. That's what we do.
But it's a whole if Ian Jackson, right? He goes on the media day and says Ian Jackson was the 11th. It was the 11th guy on the roster last week. Like he's playing all these mental games and he doesn't really seem confident in his team outside of Zuby. And I know he likes to play the mental warfare through the, as a Celtic fan, I remember him saying Larry Bird's not walking through that door. Like he says all these crazy things. And the older he gets, it seems like he doesn't care anymore. But I think it's going to take a time, and this is the reason why. Do I think they're a Final Four team? They could be. Yes, they could be. Do I think they're going to take some time to adjust early on in the conference schedule, which hurts them in this standings? I do. And that's the reason why I put them third, because I think at the beginning, they don't have a schedule where they're playing Quinnipiac and they'll be able to work everything out. They're playing Alabama. Like, are they going to get enough mojo going forward early on in the season, or where they're not giving Creighton and UConn a head start? And that's what I think they are, and that's the reason why I think they're overrated here. Because I don't think they're going to finish in first. I actually think they're going to finish in third because I think it's going to take a minute. Now, do I want to play them in February and March if I'm UConn or any of the big schools? No, I don't. I think they're a Final Four team, but just when it comes to Big East standings, I just don't see them being in a first-place team.
I thought you were going to go point guard, so kudos to you for coming up with a different argument, because that's all we hear about with St. John's, the lack of point guard play. So I give you credit.
And they don't have a point guard.
I give you credit for that one. I would also like to note, by the way, that you're real tough on Rick Pitino. Did Larry Bird walk through that door? I mean, he was right about that. Larry Bird wasn't walking through that door. He didn't come in and play.
So he's right that Ian Jackson was the 11th best player on the St. John's roster 2 weeks ago.
Last week he was in practice.
Now he's top three. Now he's top three. One of the smartest guys ever.
Playing hard.
Like, what did Ian Jackson do? And David, you watched him for a year or two. Like, what did Ian Jackson do in North Carolina? Did he get that much better in 11 days? Come on.
I will tell you, as somebody who watched a lot of Ian Jackson last year, I had no doubt that Ian Jackson will score the basketball. What I have doubt in is what Matt is putting a lot of stake in, and that is Ian Jackson on the defensive end of the floor.
So you're saying there's ifs? So you're saying there's ifs? Because Matt seems to love the ifs for UConn, but St. John's ifs, nope. Rick Pitino's going to solve it all. He's the puzzle master.
Defensively, you're only as good as your worst defender on the floor, and Ian Jackson would check out.
Looking like a true coach. Right, that's my heart.
Until I see him actually lock in, all five of them lock in defensively. This isn't the same team that they were last year defensively.
Listen, Ian Jackson could play like Chris Jackson. He isn't going to care. It doesn't matter. I lost this argument. We can move on to the next team.
Well, we'll go to the prodigal son coming to the Big East, Richard Pitino, and make sure you listen to the Roll Blog podcast. But Xavier finished
learning.
Xavier finishing 8th in the preseason poll. Overrated, underrated, just right.
Brian, you're on a winning streak. You go.
I think this is so. I have them 9th, so I guess they're a little bit overrated. I have Seton Hall 8th. This is a new team. I think they bring back one kid, right? Roddy Anderson, who didn't even play for them last year. So they're really bringing back everyone. He brings that New Mexico trio to Cincinnati. Let's see what they can do in the Big East. I think he's on the right path. I just don't think he's there yet. I like him. I like that he's active on social media. I love that he's doing his own podcast now and everything. Like I like guys like this because the coach at Seton Hall is behind an iron wall and won't let any secrets out. But Pitino's kind of like in your face, and he's fresh. He's fun for the league, and I'm rooting for him, but I just don't think they're there yet. I think there'll be a tougher team in February. I don't know who they play in February, but they could make it by playing St. John's later in February. Maybe he beats his dad, and that kind of knocks down St. John's from being the top seed, or in Madison Square Garden. But I just feel like this team it's about properly ranked. I just don't have them on 8th. I have them in 9th.
You hear how he still had to find a way to take a St. John's barb in there while we're talking about Xavier. I don't even understand.
Wait a minute. Come on, man. Look at those locks. Look at those locks.
Hey, man, I need a wig like that pretty soon, so I'm not one to judge.
Danny's? You want Danny's? I could probably get me one of those.
No, I don't think I can pull that one. No.
Only if you start singing tomorrow from Annie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all my grandmom's friends had that haircut when I was a kid. Let's go back to Xavier. Okay, listen, I'm going to try to throw a curveball at David. Clearly, he's got a vendetta against me. He felt as though he was publicly besmirched by siding with me last time. So let's see if he'll side against both of us. As much as it pains me to say, I'm going to agree with you on this. They are overrated. I mean, look, I like Richard Pitino. As you said, what he has done has been great for the league. He's come in. He has been out there. He is at a time where Xavier's taking all kinds of hits. The university president is not the world's most popular person right now. I think the Xavier community seems to be at verbal accostation at this stage with the president because of some of her latest decisions. Richard Pitino's kind of trying to take over the public face of popularity for the college to try to just turn the page and get him going towards basketball. Again, Cintas Center is a great place to play, but don't take my word for it. I mean, what do I know? Let's listen to his dad. Rick Pitino said at Big East Media Day, look, Richard's a good coach. Richard's going to get this thing together. In a lot of ways, it's similar to the situation I took over at St. John's. He's going to get them winning. They're not going to be good this year. It was just such a great secondary sentence. I was typical.
It's almost like
Rick
he's talking
Pitino.
to Ian Jackson. He's talking about Ian Jackson and Bryce Hopkins.
I don't think he was trying to do any publicity or trying to publicly fire his son up. I just think he thinks they aren't very good. He's trying to lower the blow for when things go poorly for Xavier this year. I have them second to last in the league. I just don't get it. They have size. There's no doubt about that. Xavier is big, and they have arguably the best name in college basketball, right? I mean, who's better than All Right? Is there a better name than that? And a Valpo transfer. Valpo, the first school that ever took me, that accepted me into college. I mean, you got to question their qualifications for doing such a thing, but I got a soft spot in my heart for Valpo. All Right, I think he's going to be a good player. He's going to be better than All Right. How many times do you think people will make that bad pun? Andy Robinson has potential. I'm not necessarily sold, but he's got potential. And then you talk about Wright, Xavier doesn't need him to be an X factor. That seems like the type of player he is. They need him to be X marks the spot, a pot of gold. It feels like they're way too reliant on him to be able to score the basketball. I have too many questions about the Xavier team, and I think that Richard Pitino understands this and is building towards the future. This year is about trying to establish his culture, and I hope that he's able to do that, and I hope that he stays on social media and has fun even when the losses start to mount.
So I guess the biggest question is,
hold on before you go on. Well, what gives them the advantage over Seton Hall? I want to know that from Matt because we agree on this. So I think this should be the tiebreaker. Like, why is Xavier ranked above Seton Hall in your eyes?
First of all, you are going to get us on the list with the Xavier president right now. Not Xavier, Xavier. You're going to get us in trouble. Roll-blob guys are big. They play basketball. They're going to come after us, Brian.
The South is taking over. Like, it is what it is.
They told us specifically, make sure we cut that out. So I just had to give you a little grief for that. Besides their name properly pronounced, I still think that their size, I think they will rebound the basketball. That, to me, there's one thing I know Xavier will do well. I'm not sure what Seton Hall will do well. There's a chance that they maybe are better than I'm giving them credit for, but there's just nothing I go into the season thinking, yeah, I like that from Seton Hall. I mean, there are pieces that aren't bad, but there's no one area where I'm like, I think Seton Hall will have an advantage over opponents in that area. I think Xavier's going to rebound the basketball. They're big. They're physical. They should rebound the ball.
Fair enough.
So I think the biggest question is the New Mexico trio going to bring green chilies up to Skyline Chili and have a great fusion of flavor there?
Boy, chocolate and green chilies would probably not be the world's best combination. I mean, Skyline chili is bad enough. Let's not even try to mess with it.
Listen, I think I agree with you guys. I would probably say just right, just because I think those bottom four, I could shuffle them anyway and say, there's an argument there. So, like, are we splitting hairs here trying to figure out, is Xavier going to finish 9th, 10th, or 11th? I can see it. I can see it them finishing 8th above those other three, but I guess a little overrated, slightly overrated would be where I would go with it.
You hear those mental gymnastics? How he was trying to find a way to disagree with us there, Brian. He couldn't come up with it, but he was trying.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Come on. All right, let's head on down to Finkel, where the baskets are 10 feet, just like everywhere else. But listen to the Doghouse podcast here on the Big East Energy Network. But Butler finished 10th. We're talking about that bottom four again. Is Butler going to be higher, lower, or are they right there, slotted right in at 10 in the right spot?
Matt, I'll let you go first on this one.
I love the Doghouse. I love Rosie Jones. Rosie Jones ain't walking through that door, though, at Hinkle either, unfortunately, my friends. They got the Fort Wayne transfer, Justin Jackson. They seem to be all in on him at point guard. I mean, that's a lot to put on a kid's shoulder. If he is what they're hoping that he can be, then maybe they're underrated. I can't buy in it until I see it. So I just think they are just right. That's where I got them at 10. I think that's probably about where they're going to end up. Michael Ajayi, he has an incredible work ethic. He learned from Mark Few during his time at Gonzaga. He is a guy with some skills. It's a piece. I just think it's a piece that they're relying too much on. They have a huge hole at center. Just way too many question marks. And then Thad Matta, he has no momentum going whatsoever. They looked like maybe they were close to turning the corner early portion of a Big East play last year. They had a couple of good non-conference wins, and then they imploded in conference play. And if you get the good fans of Butler this frustrated, I mean, they're about as happy-go-lucky and easy-going Midwest as you can find, and they're pretty frustrated right now. So I think that speaks volumes for where Butler is.
I think it's time for a change in Butler. Thad Matta doesn't excite anyone. That shows more of Matt's hatred towards Shaheen Holloway, because he's picking he didn't say one nice thing about Butler. Not one nice thing, but he's still picking Seton Hall.
Well, Rosie's not right here in front of me. You were right here in front of me. I had to say some nice things about Seton Hall.
I have Butler at 11, so I'm going to say they're overrated here. I think they're, without a doubt, the 11th place team. I would be shocked if they finish in 10th. That's how far. Nothing excites me. Ajayi from Gonzaga, great. That's cute. Bizjack is a great shooter. He probably should transfer and be just a shooter, but with Butler, he needs to do a little bit of everything. They did just recently bring in Gordon Hayward, correct? So maybe there is a turn there. They're overhyped because I have them in 11th, but there's no excitement there. Like they're a bottom feeder here in the Big East.
And unless Gordon Hayward's trying to take advantage of this new G League rule where there's some kind of ancient eligibility.
No. What I'm saying is, that's the most exciting thing that happened in Butler this season. Yep. Like that Gordon Hayward retired from the NBA and become a part of the program again. Like maybe reuniting them with the Brad Stevens days. But I just, if that's the most exciting thing, it can't be a good product on the floor. And I just have them in 11.
I mean, I come back to the same point where that bottom four I could see slotted anywhere. I'm not excited about Butler. I haven't been excited about Thad Matta since he had Greg Oden. So maybe overrated. Maybe they finish 11th. Again, you could shuffle that in any order, and I wouldn't. What, Matt? What is your problem? Don't
I don't
shake
think,
your head.
have I won one yet? I think
Yeah.
the only one I won was Villanova. That's because I've got you hosting a Villanova show with me. That's literally the only one I've won so far. I got to figure out a new arguing technique. Let's go. Come on, Trebek.
I mean, when you're wrong, I just have to call you out on it. I can't allow wrongness.
Hold on, David. Hold on.
Oh, this was my favorite of all time. Go, Brian.
Well, the comments are great. Like I said, your first appearance, there were so many comments that we had to bring you back. So the people love you. At least you motivate them to comment. But the judge must be from Chicago because he's corrupt. There was other ones about you being drunk and you were way off, but I figured this one's the most PG friendly. The other interesting one was one person actually went through the arguments and actually agreed with you. So I'm kind of in between here because it said Matt won 3 out of the 5 arguments, which is what your ruling was. Actually, you won one. If you actually look at that, I don't remember what argument number 3 was, but you won that argument, David Brian. I just find this great that you came on one appearance and you just lit up the comment section. So that's
I just have to say, KBB brand. That's a nice YouTube profile you have there. It'd be a real shame if something were to happen to it. It's a real nice profile.
Now he's threatening. You sound like a true judge. Chicago judge.
Yeah, Chicago judge. I think KBB had a point, is what we're learning.
All right. Leave a comment below. You'll be featured on next week's Brian's Comment of the Week. Ready to continue on, Matt?
Let's do it. Let's lose again.
Let's head on out to Chicago. Look at the DePaul. Pick to finish ninth. The DePaul podcast. That is really a tongue twister for me right now. But pick to finish ninth. Overrated, underrated, just right.
I'd like to note, by the way, that we have the lawyer. This is like Morty Seinfeld from Seinfeld when Peterman was gone and Elaine was running the company and they had the early meetings because the old guys couldn't stay up late. That's David White right now. We're recording this late. He is struggling to even speak at the moment. You can see those eyelids starting to droop, and I'm loving it. I hope let's talk a little bit longer, Brian, and keep this man awake. The DePaul is a great name, is a great new podcast that we got here at the Big East Energy Network. Really looking forward to that one. And I am going to be one of their favorite members of the Big East Energy Network because this is my surprise squad this year. I am a Chris Holtmann devotee. I think that the Blue Demons could finish as high as 6th. I really do. I liked what they were second half of last year. More than frisky. They were a decent team. They just could not shoot the basketball. So if you can be a decent team and not be able to hit water from a boat from 3-point range, that means that you've got some pieces that you can build upon. Leighton Blocker's back. CJ Gunn's back. NJ Benson. They're all back. That, I think, is something that Chris Holtmann get another year in that system. He can get a little bit more complicated with what they try to do in terms of the mixing of the defenses and then the motion. They run some really complicated sets. When it works, it's a thing of beauty. When it doesn't, it turns into everybody stands around and you hope for the best. With guys returning, it should be less of the stagnant offense, more of the movement. And then you add in Caleb Banks, and it's my second bad pun of the show. So this is my limit. I'm not allowed to make any more, but I got to do it. Take it to the bank. The Tulane transfer is going to crush it. Love this kid. Love his game. Chris Holtmann, that type of talent with 3 really good players coming back. I think DePaul takes a huge step forward this year.
You said Caleb Banks is going to do something, and he struggled at Indiana for 2 years before he went to Tulane and played well. So let's pump the brakes on this whole DePaul.
You think Mike Woodson's a good coach? You think Mike Woodson's as good a coach as Chris Holtmann?
I'm just saying, like he got to prove it first, and that's my whole point with DePaul. They've spent a decade in the bottom 2 in the Big East. Like a decade. Until you prove it, I just can't pick you. I have them at 10th. I think there's a lot of good things going on with Holtmann, but I also think they got to prove it first, and until they prove it, I just don't believe in them, and I won't believe in them. I think CJ Gunn is great. Yeah, 6'7" guard, man. Come on, that's an NBA body, right? I'm not saying he's going to the NBA, but he's an NBA body guard. But I got to see the other pieces around him. They got the kid from St. John's. His name Maker. His last name's Maker. He could be interesting because he's super big, but I just until they prove it, I just can't believe it, and that's the reason why. Would I love for them to finish in 7th, 8th? Like that would be cool. Like to finally get out of the bottom 2, but I just can't believe it yet. So
hey, everybody's on a losing streak until they finally win one, and that's all. One win, and there we go. Then that streak's over, just like the streak of DePaul being in last place. We're ready to move on. Turn the page.
I can't believe you don't have a dad joke for CJ Maker.
Yeah. That was a missed opportunity for me. I chose the bank punt. I couldn't do 2 in 1.
I'm going to go with slightly underrated. I don't think they're going to finish 6th. I could see them anywhere between 6th and 9th. 6th, I think they're going to be higher than 9th, I should say. But I'm with Brian. Every year it seems like everybody says DePaul's going to like at some point you have to actually win some basketball games.
That's a new one. Where is the comment of the week? It's got to be right here. He just agreed with me and then sided with you. That is what just happened right there, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I don't agree with Brian that they're overhyped. I'm saying that prove it. I'm not going to say they're going to finish 6th like you up there, but higher than 9th, I can see that.
Okay, I'll take it. I think it's a moral victory.
All right. Now that I've cleared my throat, we'll move on to Providence. Finish 4th. Overrated, underrated, just right. What are we doing?
I think this is one that we agree on to a certain extent. I think one of us hates him a little bit more than the other. I'll let Matt go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. And we'll try to pick up the pace because David's about to fall asleep on us here. But here is my answer for Providence 4th. Come on. You got to be kidding me. I walked into the Big East Media Day at Madison Square Garden, and I love the folks at the Big East, and my heart broke. It broke, guys, because I thought the poor sports information department had messed up the graphic. There's no way human beings got together, put a vote, and had Providence finishing 4th in the Big East. That can't be. I watched them last season. I watched what a mess that turned into. There is no possible way that anyone comes into the year with that type of just utter I mean, I'm gonna stick with mess. I was looking for another adjective, and all the ones that popped into my brain were too mean. So I'm just gonna stick with mess, and that is what you end up selecting for. It just doesn't make any sense. You explain to me what Providence has done to garner that type of respect. Jason Edwards is legit. I have no doubt about the fact that he is going to be a good player. Or won't say. Here's my thing: he blocks shots and he dunks the basketball. That's all I ever saw him do. And I hear people telling me that he's going to be one of the best big guys in the Big East. Talk about prove it. I need to see that. And to go on that type of leap of faith that they're going to slide all the way up into the 4 slot. I mean, I just think that somebody was enjoying a happy hour before the vote and somehow convinced all their colleagues at the bar, let's try it. Come on. It must be an SID convention at one of those nice pubs by Madison Square Garden when they took the vote. That's all I can figure.
I'm not going to come in that hot.
SIDs did a Reddit GameStop.
I'm not going to come in that hot. I think they're overhyped here. I have them in 6. I think this is a big year for Kim English. I think they're actually going to benefit from Bryce Hopkins not being on the team because the team has been so designed by centered around Bryce Hopkins. That's another St. John's dig because I don't think Bryce Hopkins is that special. But I think that will actually help Kim English that he doesn't have a guy like Bryce Hopkins on the team where he's centering the whole offense around him. Jason Edwards, like you said, is legit. Duncan Powell from Georgia Tech is legit. Oswin, I'm not going to try his last name. He can defend the basket. He can rebound. He can dunk. Like Matt said, I would like to see him a little bit more. But here's my counter argument here, and I think they're overhyped. That middle between 4 and 7 and 8, like it's almost like what David's saying is the bottom. Like if you mix it and like it's 1 or 2 games separate them. So does Kim English be able to pull off 1 or 2 games and get them in 4th?
Again, what would make us think that the answer to that is yes either?
Oh, well, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that's where the voting goes. And Kim English might have had one of these votes, right? He could have put him. He could put him in 2nd, and with the scoring, knocks him up to 4th with the close. But I think that middle pack is close. I like Providence roster to a certain extent, but there are a lot of ifs there.
When I looked at the, I think I had
Listen to that reaction.
I think I had a similar reaction to Matt that I was.
This happens every time. I just want to say this happens every time. I get a lead, I'm feeling good, and then we turn that corner, and boom, here comes Matt.
Hey, what can I say?
It's that home court advantage.
Just calling balls and strikes here, folks. Just calling. But I mean, both of you are right. They're overhyped. But let's go down to the Hoyas in DC, leading blue and gray pod.
They've got no shooting. I'm gonna make this real quick. They got no shooting. Ed Cooley is in a critical year. I think he's on a hot seat just like Kim English because he's got to perform. They've invested a lot of money. He's got it. I don't care where the program was. You're Ed Cooley. Like you've proven that you're winning. Like you need to take a giant step. What they look like in that tournament, the global thing. Like, come on, man. Like you're playing teams from whatever. I just feel like this is a critical year for Ed Cooley, and if he can't get this team rolling, like he might be out of a job. I'm going to be honest with you because Georgetown has to be one of those programs in this conference competing for the tournament for this conference to be legit. And if he's not doing it, he's got to go. I don't agree with that. I don't think there's any chance that they're going to move on from Ed Cooley. I just don't think they can find a better alternative. I think the Georgetown is bigger on the wings. I think they're more athletic overall. I get that's what made Cooley's teams pretty good at Providence, right? That was kind of the secret sauce. But they desperately wanted Bryce Hopkins. When he got asked about it at media day, I mean, he didn't shy away from the fact talking about how good a player Bryce Hopkins was and how much he liked the kid. And there was still some disappointment. You could hear it in his voice. I still think they're going to be a little too reliant on KJ Lewis, and then you said it. Where's the three-point shooting going to come from? No one has been able to answer that to me. I love the bleeding blue and gray guys. I think that their enthusiasm is contagious, and I think that they are both really smart and deep thinkers who are just a bit misguided on this one. We'll see how it plays out. You could talk me into just right. I could go Goldilocks here, but I'm making my bold statement on DePaul, so I'm picking Georgetown 7. Yeah, I have them at 7 too, so they're overhyped in terms of the media poll or the coaches poll. But I think they're kind of right there in that 6-7 spot. 6-7, right? You guys got young kids? 6-7.
I don't even know what that means. My kids,
it doesn't mean anything. No one does. That's what I've been taught. Yeah, it's just a technique. All right, go ahead.
All right, Matt. The fighting Shaka Smarts at Marquette picked to finish 5th. What are we thinking on Marquette and Shaka?
Here's an upset for you. You know what? Brian always likes to crush me for being too hard on Marquette. I've got the Gold Eagles underrated. They got 11 players back. They got 2 starters. James Ross is, I think, a really good player. Ben Gold is a dependable big. Nigel James Jr., everybody seems to be pretty high on what he can be as a freshman point guard. And at the end of the day, Shaka wins in the regular season. This is not a conversation about March because he always fails then outside of that one lucky year at VCU. They're the only team in the league to return 5 of the top 10 minutes per game played from last year's team, and they returned their top 7. Oh, they are as experienced as they come. That's Shaka's MO. I think that they deserve the benefit of the doubt. I would have picked them 4. Certainly over.
I think they're better than Providence. I have them just right. I think they're 5th place here because I do have Nova 4th because I was the highest ranker on Nova on this podcast, which is crazy. Ross and Gold they were selected all preseason Big East. I think he's got a culture. We got to respect that. Shaka builds the old school way. without the transfer portal, and he recruits the guys and keeps them, develops them, gets them. A couple of them went to the NBA. I just think this program is there right now. And I would like to see the younger guys be able to take that next step before I can say that they can finish in fourth. But would it shock you, Matt, if they finish in fourth or third? Would it shock you?
I'm picking them fourth. They're my fourth.
Well, I have them fifth, but I was comparing it to the coaches poll. Like, would it shock you if they were in third? Would it shock you, or would it just be like
third would shock me? I don't
Really?
think they're going to finish third. Fourth, though, I think they're going to finish fourth. So I mean, I guess it wouldn't be the most wild thing in the world, but I think the top three. I think the top two are their own tier, and then we'll talk about three in a moment. To me, they've separated themselves and deserve that respect. And then 4 through 9 is where the muddled mess begins. But I think Shaka's regular season MO, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Fair enough, David. Your call.
I think probably slightly underrated here. I like Shaka. I mean, I think that despite struggles in the NCAA,
I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what to do. I'm choking in the second half.
I mean, I'm giving a slightly. This is like, man, I guess they're a little underrated.
I feel like Kelvin Sampson. Like, this is bad. This is bad.
Oh,
like, I got
poor Kelvin. Kelvin's had a tough week. Let's go to our last team.
All right, out in Omaha. The Roll Jays podcast, great podcast here. But Creighton finished third. What are we thinking? It seems like you guys are saying, at least Matt, saying that Creighton's right where they need to be.
Creighton is, to me, old reliable. Greg McDermott is just that good. I think he is the most underappreciated coach by far in the conference. I'd argue he's up there for most underappreciated coach in the country. My feelings on the fact that they got absolutely jobbed a couple of years ago, should have been in the Final Four the season that UConn won the national championship. What the officials did to them in that San Diego State game, beyond reproach. There should be an investigation. I'm still quite bitter about that on behalf of the Big East. And it would have changed McDermott's legacy. To me, this team has some question marks. There's no doubt about it, right? Ryan Kalkbrenner's loss is huge. And it's odd looking to replace the best defensive player in the country, kind of with two guys from a program where, quite frankly, defense has been optional the last half decade or so. So when you talk about, Josh Dixon and Owen Freeman, these are uber talented kids who can score the basketball. They'll score at will, to me, in this system, and then you just trust that Coach Mack will teach them defense. They've got the skills, especially Freeman. If Freeman gets healthy, his size, his length, his ability to move laterally, his willingness to play defense, I think that will translate into success. I think Creighton, to me, deserves their own branch in the Big East. They're third.
I have them second, so I think they're underrated here. I have them beating St. John's because I think St. John's is going to be slow, but I agree with Matt here that they are the most consistent team in this conference. They're old, reliable. Greg's is Greg, and he's got a succession plan now that when he steps away. He talked about that at media day, and I think that solidifies what this program is doing and how they're going to go forward. Jackson McAndrew, we've got to talk about him. He's legit. He's probably the best player on the roster, but Owen Freeman is he has the biggest opportunity to prove himself here with this replacing Kalkbrenner. I know you said two guys, but it seems like Freeman is that guy that they're centering around. They're one of 4 teams in the NCAA to win a game in the tournament 5 years in a row. Like, they're one of 4 teams right now. So, I just feel like Creighton is underrated here. They're taken for granted that they're just third, and everyone loves the huge splashes that Hurley and Pitino make, and Greg kind of gets forgotten. But I think they compete for the Big East title if UConn doesn't run away with it.
I mean, they don't finish any lower than third. I can definitely see them in second. I think that St. John's has a better pure talent roster, but I don't know that that's going to come together. So I don't know which one of you to go with here. Brian, you made an impassioned argument there. So I'm not trusting old Slick Rick and the Johnnies. I'll go Creighton, a little underrated here.
the sleep dirt out of his eyes. Does he have a final verdict on the proceedings of the night?
Listen, when my kids wake up at 5:30 and come get me, I'm coming for you guys. All right. Final verdict. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of disagreement other than Matt's DePaul will finish sixth in the Big East this year.
And Seton Hall, he puts us pegged for 11th. I have him 8th. That's kind of a big jump.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The disrespect and the love for Nova. I'm just saying.
I'll let my astute arguments speak for themselves.
Rest on your briefs and your argument there. I think you got DePaul a little high. Brian, I'm going with you today. I love the Nova love and this song. I mean, who doesn't?
I've thrown up in my mouth, so the night can be over.
Well, we got one more segment. It's everyone's favorite segment.
That's
David's
true.
Ponder.
Oh my God, bro! Look at this guy.
Okay.
Oh my God, bro! Look at this guy. All right, David.
Listen,
It's a pondering moment.
what you guys need to realize is that all of these things come genuinely from arguments I had with my wife. So, when you are tossing something, does it have to be underhanded? Can you toss something overhanded? That's another way to frame it. But does a toss have to be underhanded?
Never wondered about that subject in my entire life. Now you've got me thinking. And the answer is a toss.
Yep, a toss.
The only way that I've ever heard the phrase toss alluded to that isn't underhand is toss the first pitch. That's overhand. So yes,
If you're in your backyard tossing the baseball around or tossing the football around, are you throwing the football underhand?
I see that. Yeah, that's an antiquated phrase. You don't hear that as much anymore, but you're right. So that's two.
Okay, call
So
me
the
old
answer,
school, whatever.
we're together though on that. We're right. We just lawyered the lawyer. That's over. We figured it out.
No, I agree with you guys. A toss can be overhand. The way you determine a toss is all about velocity and arc. That's how you determine a toss. I don't care what anybody else says. If it's slow and it's got a high arc, that's a toss.
You know,
I think the arc.
his logic is good. You know, he may be sanctimonious and he may be half complete, but his logic is always pretty sound normally, except for the food poisoning thing last week.
I mean, Brian agrees.
Yeah, we were two
In the minority
against
here.
one here.
Well, I will let you guys go hang out with Dan Hurley in the Psycho Ward. I will take us home. Great show, everybody. We love these debates. We can't believe that the season is just about ready to get started. We are just over a week away from regular season games. It's right around the corner. We hope that you will be a part of it with us all season long. We're going to be here every week talking Big East basketball. We'll try to put a unique slant on it. Please like the video. It really does help us. Subscribe to all of our coverage right here on the Big East Energy Network. For David White and Bryan Webster, I'm Matt Janus. Thanks so much for being with us on Big East Beat.